What's up, party people? Today I am going to encourage you to buy the backpack. If you don't know me, my name's Primmy and I spent 6 months last year traveling. Today I'm mainly going to be talking about backpacking Europe, Western Europe specifically. So I'm sure that there are tips that you can take for any trip, but specifically I'll be giving tips about Western Europe as well. Okay, so first things first, trains. I am willing to spend more money in certain areas, which I'll talk about in this video. Everything I say, obviously you'll have to apply within your own budget, but it's budget friendly. There's certain countries in Europe that I would want to travel by car, but overall for this trip, we went to Italy, Switzerland, Austria, the Czech Republic, Belgium, the Netherlands, France, Germany. I think that's it. Trains overall is what we used, but then we did use buses and things like that. I have only ever traveled Europe with a Eurail pass, so honestly, the other options I'm kind of lost in, but I do believe from my own research that the Eurail is the best way to go if you want spontaneous trips, if you need some wiggle room to travel within, if you want to plan out in advance. So like it works for both of those. It's great for keeping all of your tickets together, like keeping all of your information in one place. The two options that I know about and that I've actually researched to look into the price difference of is Eurail and then just buying the train company's individual tickets. This might actually be the cheaper option, but you would have to purchase each individual ticket. It might not be too bad if you were in one country because all of your tickets can be in one app, but as soon as you're going to 8 different countries like I did, you're gonna have to keep all of those tickets organized for the date and the time and the platform and all of that. Keeping it all organized in your phone, Eurail just completely is the best on that. A couple things to note about Eurail. First off, always keep your app updated. It's like this really small banner that pops up at the bottom of the app and it's like, you need to update. Basically, all of the times will be different. It probably happened once a week that Haley and I, who I went with on my trip to Europe, that Haley and I had to update our phones, and it definitely caused some extra stressful travel days when we first didn't realize that this is what was happening. Last minute, you have a moment and you're like, oh flip, like I didn't do the correct time. You can manually add from one destination to another at whatever time you need. So if you ever have that moment where you're like, I don't see any of the correct times on my app, but I'm seeing the correct times at the station I'm at, you can always manually add it. So that's a tip. I had the 15 days within 2 months pass. If Haley and I wanted to go a short distance, like 2 train stops over, I would just look on the actual country's train company app to see if it was super cheap, because sometimes in France we'd want to go like literally 2 stops, like 10 minutes away, and instead of using a day that's worth like $29, we could just purchase for €6 total tickets there and back. So we did that for little day trips sometimes, and also so that you don't run out of days too soon. Okay, fines, not worth risking it in my opinion. I've had one trip that some of you may know me for with the med crew that we were so new to this whole app, and I didn't have cell, so I really had no idea what was going on the whole time. The travel planning was not what I was helping with. I don't think I was helping at all, honestly. With that trip, we had so many scary fine problems because we were just being stupid. And what I've decided is it's just not worth it. I loved this past trip that I went on. The ticket, man or woman walking down with their little scanner, which this is amazing. If you don't have a ticket, they go, oh, don't worry about it. Just tap your card here for your $100 fine. It's instant, like there's no escaping it. But I loved having them walk down, and I was like, I have my ticket. I have my reservation. I'm good. I'm not going to pay any fines. If you have an emergency, hide in the bathroom, but that's top secret. Lastly, included in your Europass is certain ferries. So this is how I got from Greece to Italy. You can also get discounts for hostels. So I'll put a link below with more information about that. Okay, second, hostels. So far, I've only ever used Hostel World for hostels, but I'm not like committed one way or the other. That's just what I ended up using. I'll read the reviews. I feel like this is pretty easy to comprehend, but maybe not. Read the reviews. If they said they had bed bugs last week, like, it's just not worth it. I like to check in before dark so that I can get a feel for everything, kind of know where I am. A lot of the time, Haley and I would walk everywhere. Bring a lock for a locker, bring a towel. I feel like those are the most important things that hostels typically don't supply. I didn't bring a towel because we didn't stay in hostels too much. I just brought a scarf. I had this long headscarf. I'm sure you guys will recognize it. I got it in Greece 2 years ago, and I used that as my towel because it works. You realize what's a luxury pretty quickly, and a big, glorious, fluffy cotton towel is one of those things. Oh, and flip-flops or chacos. It's worth it. You don't want to deal with foot fungus in Europe. You want to be focusing on other things. Let's just say that. I think it's always worth a little extra for a hostel with good location. Your hostel determines the safety of you and your belongings, so don't skimp on these. There's certain countries that they're just overall cheaper, like the Czech Republic. The most incredible hostel ever. It was the Women's Hostel of Prague. It's made by women for women. This is not the nicest hostel kitchen you've ever seen. Free cereal, free coffee. It was just, I dream about it. Personal preference for me, I only stay in women's dorms. A lot of guys who travel are awesome, but some of them aren't. And I don't want to have to deal with them in the space that I'm sleeping. I would say that women typically snore not as loud, but honestly, you'd be shocked. Plus, you instantly get to know, like, the girls in your room, and, like, those are the people that you want to go invite to dinner and hang out with. So, if you're going to a hostel and you don't want to hang out with people, like, okay, weirdo. You can always check if your hostel has a kitchen or not. Some hostels offer, like, a continental breakfast. Every time there was an option for paying a couple more euros and getting a free breakfast, it was like 7 to 10 euros extra. If you're in France, you can get breakfast for 2 euros, okay? That's all I'm saying. I'm not a picky eater, and if you are a picky eater, stop that. But with a continental breakfast, the only thing I will note, if it is free and included, definitely steal some of the extra butters or little jellies or little honeys. Take some napkins from there. I'm not saying go crazy, like, don't just empty the freaking basket. Don't be greedy. But that can come in handy for later. Hostel World also offers discounts for students, so definitely look into that. I'm gonna have a link for the hostels I stayed in down below. Some of you had asked if I had a plan going into the trip or if I just did whatever spontaneous thing we could think of. So it was kind of half and half. We knew what we would do the first month. We had a plan to be volunteering through Workaway for the first month. I had some family coming out and visiting us because my grandmother had never been to Europe before, so she came out and visited us, which was unbelievably sweet. So we knew up until that point, and then afterwards we had some ideas of what we would do, and we had people who had reached out to us, some family friends, but we didn't have that last month super planned out. And that's why we were able to throw in like a little extra trip to Prague and like things like that. So unfortunately, 9 days before our flight, the lady who was going to be hosting us for the first month canceled. So I had like a very Frankenstein plan that I had to put together the 9 days before our flight, which a lot of that comes down to having so many connections. I just know a lot of people, and I know people who know a lot of people. And I am also the kind of person to make friends with the lady I'm sitting next to in a train, and then 2 years later reach out to her and stay at her house in Belgium. Like, I just, that's my personality. So that's another thing of like, I really can't help you become more outgoing. I would encourage you to do that, but I also can't give you tips on who to stay with. I think that just comes down to a level of discernment. And honestly, I wouldn't recommend it for most people. It's not something that I'm gonna like advertise as go stay with random people. It's not something I'd recommend, not because I've had bad experiences with it, but because other people do. I can't give you discernment, so I might as well just give you tips of other places to stay. Unfortunately, that first month got canceled, and that was just because who we were gonna stay with was older, and she just got her dates mixed up, and she was really apologetic about it, and I would have loved to stay with her, honestly. That would have been great in lots of ways, but it's okay. We felt like God had a plan for us. We went to so many more countries and saw so many more people than we would have originally if we wouldn't have done that, so it worked out. But we did end up still volunteering in the south of France for the first 10 days. This was through Workaway. I just purchased a membership because I was traveling with just Haley. We got like two friends can have a membership together so that when you apply for something, someone can see both of you and know that there's two coming. That's what we did. We stayed with a family. We helped nanny their son for the first few days before he went to school. And then we did gardening. And honestly, gardening was one of my highlights. Their soil was so beautiful. The smell of the earth was like, oh my gosh, so dreamy. And the spot we were staying in was gorgeous. Yeah, we could have never afforded to stay in a house that big with that location, that beautiful of an area, that central. We never could have afforded that. So the opportunity to volunteer and stay there was just incredible. When it comes to volunteering, read the reviews. Again, read the reviews, feel it out, talk to the person before you go. Are they freaking weird? What are they requesting of you? Is it an old guy requesting one single lady to come help him work on his computer and you don't get your own separate house? Don't do that. Like, I'm sorry. I'm gonna be judgmental. That's weird. Don't do that. Unpopular travel tip. Don't eat out. Haley and I did eat out a good amount, meaning like maybe dinner once a week. We really seriously did not eat out like most people maybe do. We always had a kitchen available to us, and even if we didn't have a kitchen available to us, we would just go to the grocery store and get like salami, cheese, throw that on a baguette, or like snacky foods from the grocery store because it's just cheaper. That's just the way it is. If you eat out, it's gonna eat up your budget. Life hack for Americans: if you get sick of pork religiously, I don't have a problem with it. Health-wise, not my like favorite ever, but seriously, there's so much pork in Europe. So if you get sick of pork and you're like, I just need beef, I just need chicken, I need something that has red. We went to shawarma places, and any halal certified place, incredible. That's some of the best food, seriously, that we had in Europe. Now for my most versatile bit. I brought a 55-liter backpack. Here she is. Love her. I'd probably go smaller though if I was going on a spring or summer trip, mainly because a 55-liter backpack, the one I had, does not count as a carry-on with most airlines, especially the budget airlines with Europe. The budget airlines of Europe have the most horrible, evil, just anti-freedom, liberty, justice bags. It's crazy how small they want your bag. A 55-liter, it's crazy. So we flew Delta, which I'll get into my flights, but Delta doesn't fly out of Paris typically. It's Air France that flies from Paris back to the United States. And so they have different rules about luggage than Delta does. My backpack didn't count as a carry-on for Air France, and I had to check it, and there was the most horrible, mean, not all the French are mean, okay? That's fake. That's not true. But this woman was so mean. I think I still need to work through forgiveness for her. And of course, by the time I like arrive at my home airport and I'm watching my stuff come in, all of my stuff from my backpack is like I have boots falling out of my bag. Because of the way this lady... Okay, so all the airlines are different. A 55-liter backpack is not gonna count as a carry-on for most flights, period. I'd go smaller if you can. My 55-liter backpack was for 3 seasons: summer, fall, and winter. So if you aren't having to pack like gloves, scarf, lots of layers and things like that, then 55 is unnecessary in my opinion. I think if you were going on a summer or spring, you could do a good 15 liters smaller, but I am a good packer, I will say. Pack lighter than you think you should, but still bring a light jacket no matter what season. That's my opinion. There's nothing worse than having like this freezing cold moment and all you have is a tank top. I hate it. So yes, I'm a light packer. Yes, I don't need a lot of clothing, but I like to look cute. I like to look put together. I don't like a backpack that has stuff hanging off of it. I don't like looking homeless. When traveling, I like to be put together. I like to feel clean. I like my bag to look like it hasn't gone through a freaking war zone. And every once in a while I see reels and videos of people who are backpackers and they have like one backpack on the front, one backpack on the back, shoes hanging off of it, towels, swimsuits that are drying, and it's overwhelming for girls specifically and guys with camera equipment. Pack lighter. I brought 2 pairs of shoes for 3 months, Ultra trail runners, which were perfect. I cannot recommend those enough. And then I brought flip-flops. So I would never, ever, 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 ever waste space on shoes that are cute over comfortable. Did my tennis shoes match with all my pairs of jeans? No. Was it worth it? 100%. You don't need 5 different baby tees. You don't. Every item of clothing should function completely differently, in my opinion. I brought 2 pairs of pants and 1 pair of hiking/work pants, and I survived 3 months with those. But all of them functioned very differently. Every single thing worked with every single top I brought. Your clothes are just about to go through it. Same goes for jewelry. If it's the kind of thing you have to take off every time you shower, just don't bring it. I don't wear makeup on a daily basis. Know the risk of spilling all of them. If it's a palette, it's probably gonna break and it's going to take up space. I just brought a singular lipstick that also worked as a blush. That's all I brought. I felt great about that. You can always buy some more when you're over there. It's like a fun little souvenir too. I brought a Kindle on my most recent trip and it changed my life. Last year, I had like 2 major trips. I went to Hawaii for like 2 months to visit my friend Glory. You guys probably know her. And then Europe. And to visit Glory, I brought all my books. And did I read all of them? Absolutely. Did I feel the weight of them on my lumbar? Yes. So I probably would have cut off a finger to have one of these in Hawaii. Mine is bigger than the average size that I had of a fanny pack. I just had a fanny pack, my backpack, and then a little 10-liter backpack that I would roll up and keep in my big backpack on travel days. But this did not fit in my little Cotopaxi fanny pack. I liked to keep my passport and stuff directly on me, but Haley's did fit in her little thing. It was a smaller Kindle. So honestly, maybe I'd recommend that one, but I knew I would use this in regular daily life too, so I did get the larger one. Okay, I've seen this really weird thing where girls will make these get ready with me for a trip videos and they pack 8 swimsuits. And I will tell you right now, you don't need 8 swimsuits. 2 swimsuits was more than enough for me. I just brought 1 one-piece and 1 two-piece because you never know. Yeah, you don't need any more than that. I promise you would rather have 2 swimsuits that are great and going home with that little extra Italian bag. Sell in Europe can be super cheap. All those apps with the Sell and the eSIMs, what I learned very quickly after purchasing one of these eSIMs is that $15 for 5 gigabytes is unholy. So there are places you can go and walk in and for 10 euros get 100 gigabytes, but you will be that annoying person with WhatsApp, A, and B, you have to go in and actually talk to another human being. So if that scares you, there you go. Everywhere has free Wi-Fi. Everywhere has free Wi-Fi. Every restaurant, every museum, every train station. I did use Surfshark all the time. That's real, guys. Actually, I do use it. Anything an influencer sponsored by, I'm always very suspicious of, but Surfshark and all the people I know who have been sponsored by it actually do use it, so that's good. It's not sponsored by Surfshark, but it's amazing. Wi-Fi is free everywhere, but you do have to pay for bathrooms most places out in public. So definitely use the restroom at the hostel first, and second, bring cash on you. It's cheaper to get your cash at your bank at home and request euros or whatever form of currency you need at your bank at home. It's way cheaper than pulling from an ATM, but sometimes it's necessary. I bring a little tiny 10-liter backpack. It's the Quechua. I'm so butchering that, I know. I love it. I think it's perfect. It's the perfect shape, perfect size. The only thing that I think could be a step up is that I met a Swiss chick in a hostel in Marseille who had basically the same size. It was a 10-liter as well, but it folded up really nicely into its own little compartment. So if you could find one of those, you can always buy a bag out and then you get a cool souvenir. If you want to learn the language, Mango Languages is what I'd suggest. It's free with a library card for American citizens. This spork, I'm not kidding you when I say it changed my life. There were so many moments when I needed it, and there were so many moments that it was there with me. I don't think I washed it one time on the whole trip. I washed it with spit and it sat in my bag. It was incredible. So you use Zaddy's money? How do you pay for this? Okay, so I pay for these trips with this incredible thing that I feel like not a lot of people know about, but it's awesome. Basically, you go, there's so many opportunities, they're all over the place and no one's talking about them. You go in to a place, you clock in, you do this thing called a job, and then when you leave, they give you money for it. It's incredible. So that's what I do to pay for these trips. I do what most people do to make money, to do things, which is have a job. I worked in the restaurant business. I had 2 restaurant jobs and 2 cleaning jobs for an entire year. I bought myself a car in cash, and I also bought 6 months of traveling for myself. I worked my butt off, and that's how I can afford to do this. I've never worked with a tight budget. I've never set a budget for myself, but that's just because I know my own funds, I know my own spending, and I can make a guess of how much I'm going to spend. So that's just a personality thing. I don't think it's what I would suggest per se. Have my trips been cheap? Absolutely. Am I willing to do a overnight 15-hour layover for like a $200 cheaper flight? Heck no, you've got the wrong girl. I will always spend more money for a comfortable flight. I will always spend more money to have a better night's sleep. That's not the place I'm ever gonna skimp on. I just don't buy food out. I don't buy a lot of souvenirs. I don't go shopping, like, not too much. I mean, like, I'm shopping, but I'm not doing those crappy budget flights. I can't freaking stand crappy budget flights. Here's what I tell a lot of people. If you are uncomfortable by going $800 over your budget, if that makes you fearful for your funds and your money when you get back home, I would say don't go on a backpacking trip like the kind I did.
Get a job.
The kind that's over a month. Mine was 3 months, but that kind of trip, I wouldn't suggest it for you.
Get a job.
If you are at a tight spot financially, there's all of this talk of like, you know, F your wallet, just go travel the world. I don't really believe in that at all. I believe in working really hard for your money, doing something that's fun and making a lot of memories, but I will never tell someone who doesn't have that much money, just book a plane ticket. No, that's just stupid. Okay, so, drum roll please. I spent less than $3,000 for my 3 months in Europe. A little over 1,000 of that was my flight. I really tried to find like one of those cheap budget flights, you know, those steals where like, oh my gosh, you just won't believe the deal I found. But when you look into those and you have a big bag and you want to sit next to your friend and you want to have flexible days because you don't know when you're going to leave the country and you don't know which country you're going to be flying out of, and you would like to have food on the plane that's included, and you'd like to choose a window seat, you can just skip the budget airlines, honestly. The budget airlines are best for like a single guy with a briefcase going to Paris for random week. Another thing is that I like to earn miles on my purchases. The card that I used was the Delta Gold Sky Miles card. I liked it best for preparing for the trip and buying the ticket even more than I liked using it actually in Europe, but I think it was great to prepare. With the amount of miles we made just in preparation for the trip without including the trip, we will be flying our next international flight for free. If you want to open up a card like that, I wouldn't say this one's like one of the best ones, but it's a good beginner one. I have a link if you want. You can earn like 80,000 miles, I think, which can be like $700, $800 equivalent with it right now. So if you want, I'm gonna put a link below. This is specifically for my fellow believers who are wanting to go on trips like this. Someone had reached out to me asking about tips for backpacking and things like that with the intention of going to evangelize. So this is why I include this, because I think there's lots of Christians who are thinking about this when traveling. And also, almost every time I've ever told somebody, oh, I'm going on a trip, they always ask me, oh, is it a missions trip? And first off, no. I've never been on an official missions trip before, like through a church or anything like that. But if you walk with God and if you are in tune to His Spirit, you will probably end up having conversations about God or spirituality with people out and about, especially in hostels and things like that. And I think too, in travel-y circles, there's a lot of hungry people because everyone's searching, they're all looking for answers. But especially people who are like going out to different cultures, they want to experience different religions and different countries and different food and all this new stuff. And they're just looking for a place that a lot of them, not all of them, but they're looking for a place they fit in. They're looking for more people. And so I think a lot of people in hostels, if you're someone who seems like a comfortable presence at least, a lot of people will open up to you a lot sooner than people in regular everyday life. That's what I think. When I was in Europe, everyone wanted to talk politics with Haley and I because they'd hear our accent and like the election was just coming up. So people will just kind of, I don't know, especially when you're from a different country and like you're doing something like, oh yeah, we're just going around Europe for 3 months. And it can surprise people. And I think that it kind of sets the stage for them to ask you questions that most people wouldn't ask in regular everyday life, which I think is kind of fun, and I'm not intimidated by that at all. So were my trips mission trips? No. But did I have conversations with people about God? Absolutely. Yeah. And it was super fun. I mean, I learned something, they learned something. It's a mutual kind of exchange of culture. And another thing is I've had people ask me like how my walk with Jesus changes when I'm traveling. And honestly, I don't think it changes that much at all. Like, there's so much time on trains to sit and read your Bible, or, I mean, the churches in Europe are incredible. And Haley and I, because of the kind of people we are, we went to Catholic churches like 3 times a week at least, just to go sit in them. And we just had this mutual understanding of like, when we walk into these holy, sacred places, like, we just want to sit and look at the art and pray. And we would go in and just kind of be stopping in and sit for an hour. And that was so peaceful. If you're traveling the way I did, it's not a vacation. It doesn't feel like a vacation. It's kind of high stress. And so to have peaceful little moments in Catholic churches, like, if you are an unbeliever and you're still watching the video, I think you should go sit in Catholic churches just to like take a deep breath, especially when you're going to all these big cities and things like this. And I just think they're really peaceful places to sit and think, even if you don't want to worship or pray or anything like that. Like, they're just so serene. They're so peaceful. So I would recommend that to anybody. Yeah, cold, bold street evangelism just really isn't my thing. I bring up God with people who I have a little relational equity with. So for Haley and I, we stayed almost at least a week every place we went to. So we got to really get to know our hosts, or get to know the people we were in hostels with, or our roommates, or things like that. And so that's the only time I would ever really bring those things up. Because I think if somebody doesn't want to have a conversation like that, or a conversation about spirituality or something that personal, I don't think it's always the best like icebreaker. But always, like, if you are hearing the Spirit lead you, then I can't say nothing about that. Who am I to get in the way of the Spirit? So last thing, you learn so much about yourself traveling. To go on your first trip like this and want to go out and like serve other people, I'm not saying 100% like it's not a good idea or that you're gonna be in over your head, but I would just like slow down a little bit, because you will learn so much about yourself, and it would be really easy to just kind of tune the Lord out of the things he wants to teach you about himself and about you, and that communion in a new place, if you're just like looking for people to evangelize to, in a country that you don't know the culture, you don't speak the language, with someone you have no relational equity with. So just slow down. If you're a believer and you're wanting to go to Europe, or you're wanting to go travel or something like that, it's not to go find the people who need to be talked to about God. I think it's like, find where God is in that country and ask the Lord, where are you in Italy? And I want to follow you there. My goal is to find God here and to listen to his voice for me right now. He will lead you to those people if that's something he wants to do with you. So you heard it here first. I hate missions trips. Just kidding. No, I don't. There's a lot of good that comes out of that. And there's a lot of people who meet God through cold, bold street evangelism. That's not my thing while I'm traveling. I'm not doing that. That's not my goal. I'm thinking if there's anything else I want to say. Honestly, just have fun. And if you do end up backpacking and you take any of this advice, let me know. DM me, because I would love to chat about it. Or if you have any more questions, my DMs are very open. My last things I can think of, I don't know, bring a watch, bring a battery pack. There's nothing you can't buy when you get there. Bring a friend you're willing to have fights with. Don't sweat it. Like, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be awesome. I think that may be all I have for you guys. All I have for you guys is probably like a 45-minute video. If you stay till the end, you are incredible, and I hope you have a great trip, and you should DM me if you take any of my advice or anything like that. I wrote out everything in a big note too if you want to go back and read this. I'm really excited to see you out there. I hope this just about covered it. The only last thing I would recommend is getting a dating app when you're in Italy. Like, if you're in Italy or France or Belgium for some reason. Just look, if you really need a tour guide, get a dating app. Free tour